Welcome. It's so good to see everybody. I am really pleased to see you here. I wish the circumstances were a little better, but I really appreciate you coming to hear my story and what's happening right now because it does affect some of the things that I get to do with you for a while. And it also, I feel like, you're this great group of people who I see lots of expressions of love and just such a wonderful bunch of colleagues and friends. And I just, I feel like I want to be honest with you about what's happening because I know a lot of you have noticed that I haven't been doing my usual things. This all started back in, well, I won't go through every detail, but it started back in December. I was having a cough, and my regular doctor was on maternity leave, and they sent me to someone, and she said, "Oh, well, it's just acid reflux." So they gave me Pepsid in essence. And I noticed that I was just starting having more and more trouble breathing. And I still had every intention to go to Florida and do the show, do some appraisal fairs, was all excited about it. Got all the way to Kentucky, was with Zeno, and he was trying to give me other things to help me. And after about 4 or 5 days, he said, "You are not getting better. There is something seriously wrong. You need to go back to Washington, where my insurance is and where my doctors are." And I said, "Oh boy, okay." So I turned around, and when I got to Flagstaff, Arizona, I really couldn't breathe at the high elevation, and I went to urgent care, and they put a little thing on my finger and said, "Are you dizzy?" And I said, "No, why?" And they said, "You should be passed out. You have a very, very, very dangerously low blood oxygen reading, and we are admitting you to emergency immediately." So I spent about 4 days in the hospital there. Um, Ended up getting to thrift when I got out and did a fun video to make sure I was okay to walk around and got to see the place. And they were wonderful. It turned out to be a teaching college. They explained everything very thoroughly, but one thing they did was a scan, and they found that there was a mass of lymph cells that had grown together. And they said, "You need to go back and have this assessed." So I came back to Washington, and they've been working on that ever since. And it's taken about 3 months. I saw the doctor today, and this was by this point, it's not a surprise to me because it's been pointing in a direction, and they've continued to do lots of different tests. Apparently, I can't do anything that's just like mainstream. That's how I got into the antique and vintage business. I like things that are offbeat and different. Well, I managed to acquire an dysfunction physically that is also offbeat. It's something called, I have to read this because it's a very long word, Waldstrom's macroglobular anemia. I was having anemia. Basically, what it is it's a kind of lymphoma, and it's a rather rare kind of lymphoma. Apparently, I'm one of maybe 10 or fewer people in the entire state who is dealing with this at this point. So that is the situation, and that is the diagnosis. And so easy for me to say, not really. And I'm usually, people say, "Oh, you have a great vocabulary." Well, this one's tough. All these medical terms, I'll tell you. Um, yes, maybe Zeno can put it in. Yes, Zeno studied naturopathy and other things and is very good at this. So maybe he can do that for us. Yes, and I would get an illness that's scarce. Exactly. Yeah, I have to be different. Um, it is not the it's not the most well, here's the good news. We'll cut right to the chase. It is treatable, thank goodness, because lymphoma is a blood cancer. So it is being treated as cancer, and it is thankfully not a super aggressive cancer. But the fact that I'm was unable to breathe turns out it's because I keep filling up with fluid in my chest cavity, And that is a sign that for me, I'm actually in stage 4. Now, before that sounds super scary, and please, I'll try to look down and keep looking in the chat and answer any questions that you have. Um, Stage 4 always sounded really scary to me with this. Stage 4 in my case just means that my symptoms are pretty developed. It doesn't mean that, oh, they've caught this too late or they're not able to do anything. They are able to do stuff, thank goodness. I'm very grateful for that. There it is, Waldenstrom's macroglobulinemia. Yes, that's it. Thank you. Uh, Rafina TA Online. Yes, thank you. You got it right. So, and thank you, Linda. I'm sorry too. It's not my favorite thing. I have honestly, my appendix burst when I was a kid and I almost died, and I have not had a hospital stay since. I've been a pretty healthy person. Excuse me, the cough is part of this sometimes, so don't be alarmed. Um, I've been a pretty healthy person. This is a good thing going into this, apparently. And there are things that they can do. The next step is that they're going to do a bone marrow biopsy to see if it's involved that a little bit, which, again, it's not the end of the world. The treatment is the same either way, it sounds like. But they also are going to get a second opinion from the Fred Hutchinson Clinic. And for those of you who aren't familiar with them, either from having had issues or being in the Seattle area, they invented a lot of the cancer cures and treatments over the years. So it's a really good place to get a second opinion. The long and short of it is that I'm probably going to, Francine says I've had the same WM and yes, treatable finished treatment 4 years ago. That is awesome. I'm glad to hear that. I have a friend who has a colleague who had it and was treated and has been in remission for a long time. It has started to come back, but they said they can treat it again. So fingers crossed they can do something. Fred Hutchinson has a lot of clinical trials and extra things in addition to the usual treatments that they're doing now. So they are talking about putting me onto a they're putting me on a uh, treatment plan. Probably will start sometime towards the end of this month, and it will consist of one long day of a certain type of chemo that is pretty targeted, and then a follow-up drug that is also targeted, so not as destructive and as harsh as some chemo can be, which thank goodness for that. But it's going to last a long time. Probably this will go on probably for a 6-month period because it's a blood cancer. It's not, I don't have any tumors or anything like that, but it means that it's kind of all over the place. So they have to deal with it all over the place. And that takes time. Um, so thank you, by the way, for the wishes and prayers, everybody. I mean, when I put the announcement out about this video, the outpouring was just amazing. All of you being here tonight, just amazing. Um, Final Earthlings asking, is the drug approved or in phase 3 trials? The 2 drugs that they are planning on using have been approved and used for this with successful results for a period of time. Fred Hutchinson also has a 3rd drug, which is in clinical phase 3 trials, that they may also prescribe to see if that will actually help in order to do some additional stuff, either to keep it at bay longer or to take care of it faster, whatever they think can do. I'm going to hear about that on the 13th. And I gave extra blood today because they asked if they could use some of it for some other purposes in order to hopefully help people in the future to be able to catch this earlier, like part of a regular physical, which I had in November and was fine. And so because of that, they asked if they could take extra blood. And so that's going to be part of a study. And I thought about it and I thought, you know what? John Wayne, when he had horrible cancer because of appearing in Genghis Khan, when they all were radiated by the above ground nuclear tests, and so many people in that movie died, which was awful. He was very brave and did all sorts of experimental treatments. And I thought, if John Wayne can do it, I can give you 4 little vials of blood. Um, so we're doing that. Now, I see some people mentioning, please look into alternative or added natural healing practices. Absolutely. I am a big believer in do all the things. I'm not one of those people who's just like, give me a pill so I don't have to think. I have a functional medicine doctor who works in oncology and is also a naturopath. And she has me taking all sorts of supplements, working on immune system therapy and improvements, working on other things for digestion and things, with the idea of trying to make me as strong as possible going into this so that the effects are minimized. I did ask her, is there any, because, we read and we hear, and there's definitely some evidence that some cancers can be controlled or cured by changing diet and other natural things, and that you can sometimes get around having to have a harsh, more drug based treatment. Unfortunately, this one is a rare enough thing and a specific enough thing that it is not one that can be done just solely doing that. But I am doing all the things. Friend of mine has given me homeopathic treatments. There are a lot of other things that can be done besides. It definitely changed my diet for the better. So I'm trying to do everything that uh, I'm supposed to do, because I figure that's my job. Well, yeah, Steve Jobs is a good example, although what he had, I don't think he was coming back from that no matter what. Um, but this can be fun. I'm so glad to see several of you say that you've come through this. It's encouraging. I do believe I will. They say I will. They say I'll be able to do all the things, and that we will all get to keep having fun together and do all this cool stuff that we get to do. Um, just one moment here. The let's see here. Okay, so the and yes, I definitely do have beliefs, and I do believe that thoughts and prayers really do have a lot to do with this. That optimism has a lot to do with your outcomes. That believing that there is something bigger than you and that you can take power from that. I'm here for all of it. So, um, as for an address we can write you, or super chats or things, hold off on that for a little bit, and I'll talk about all of that sort of thing, because I definitely, my email address, of course, the Antique Nomad at Gmail is a good place to reach me, but we'll get into some other things as far as how we're going to deal with all of the financial end of this. And that's partly because, yes, fatten up. Everybody is telling me, oh, you look so thin. I have to be honest with you. I actually weigh 1 pound more than I've ever weighed in my life right now. I really am trying and doing my best. I'm just a thin person, always have been. So definitely, I have a good appetite, trying to do all the things I'm supposed to there. Um, and so, the thing I want to take, yeah, this is the thing, collector at heart. YouTube will take 30%. Maybe we should share another way. We will share another way a little bit later in the broadcast. It's very kind that, I mean, the first thing I'll say is that I know that, honestly, some of you are in the same boat. Some of you are on fixed income. Some of you are self employed. Some of you are recovering from things yourself. Just your thoughts and prayers and all of that nurturing energy is just wonderful, and I want to send it back to you. And that alone is enough. But for those who do want to contribute, we'll talk about how you can do that in a little bit here. And the first, I guess, what sort of dovetails into that is how this affects what's going to happen on YouTube. I I love doing YouTube. It has become such a big part of my life, and I'm so thankful that Zeno made me do it over 5 years ago, because I really got dragged kicking and screaming. I wanted to talk to people about all this cool stuff, but I just didn't see myself as the person who, oh, I have to look at myself. Oh, I have to hear myself. I was definitely hung up about all that stuff. And he just said, look, you have this information. There's these people who want to know, and you need to connect with them. And I'm so grateful. Look at this amazing group of people and what we're doing here. So it is really, really amazing. Um, I am going to continue to do everything I can on YouTube. So I need to talk a little bit for a moment about what I can and what I can't, both on YouTube and in terms of things in general. I have been running around during this period between doctor appointments and trying to film as much as possible because I want to keep the channel going. I have enough footage and some really fun and interesting things, actually, to go from now through the end of my treatments if I do Wednesdays only. And that may be all I'm able to do because once the treatments start, the concern is that immune system issues, infections, are something that I have to be very careful of. And because of that, I'm having to cancel in person appearances for now. That's why you didn't find me at Mount Dora in Florida. I had to turn around and come back here. It's why the next one that I've had to cancel, and she's in the chat here, um, is that I cannot be at Teak Stock. Teak Stock is the 9th, 10th, and 11th of May. It's such a fun event. I'm going to put a video out about it based on what we did last fall, right before it happens this time. If you're anywhere near Marshall, Michigan, it's a really fun, it feels like this group of people here, but in person. Everybody camps and they hang out and people bring stuff to sell, and there's an auction, and usually there's an appraisal fair on Sunday, which this year is Mother's Day. I had to, of course, talk to Heidi from Rosie's auction house ahead of time and say, look, I can't be there because of this. And she called me the next day and said, I am getting everybody to donate something, and I'm going to have a charity auction, and we're going to do it in your honor, and we're going to raise money for you. And I just am so completely blown away by that. Apparently, there have been 80 different donations. I've seen pictures of some of it. Some of it's just amazing stuff. I mean, I'm so thankful, and I just can't even tell you how full my heart is that somebody would do something like this for me. So that's going to be in lieu of when I was going to do the appraisal fair. So it'll be at noon on May 11th, which is Sunday. And that one is actually able to be previewed now on Facebook at Rosie's Auction House. So you can take a look and see what people have donated. Again, there's some really cool things. Um, I stuff that I just like, wow, I would love to own that. So um, it's so kind that somebody would put something like that together for me, and I'm just so grateful. I don't know what else to say. It's just it's truly amazing, and so um, thank you so much for doing that. It's something you folks can go look at, and I think they're taking pre-bids now for the stuff. So if you see something you like, well, there seems to be a lot to like. And I'm so blown away that so many people were willing to donate items to benefit me. I am not honestly the kind of person I'm the kind of person who's used to giving. I'm not really used to accepting. So I will be honest, this is a little difficult for me. And it's a new life lesson. We all need help sometimes. And I just am so grateful to have this help. Now within that, because there's going to be this fundraiser, we it there's various reasons that money has to have a place to go. And so my caretakers, I have two very wonderful caretakers. One of them is Zeno, who is helping me He's trying to keep things under control back in Kentucky. Usually I'd be there helping him with things. He's having to try to handle all of it there. And so he has been giving me all sorts of help with things to ask the doctor and next steps and questions and looking at alternatives and all of that in terms of the medical care. And my other helper here in Washington, who I'm staying with, is my friend Stephanie, a dear friend. You've seen her occasionally in the chat, Stephanie Conant. And the two of them got together and they set up a GoFundMe. And the reason they did that is because that way, if people do want to make contributions, they're not subject to 30% going to YouTube. And also so that this charity auction is able to be directed somewhere that, it means that it's a gift. It doesn't show as income to Rosie for doing this, which is, only fair when people are doing so much to help. So there will be a GoFundMe, and I think Zeno's going to put that in the description of this video. It'll also be on social media. When we do these live videos, they're up for a while, then we have to let them process and they come down and then they eventually go back up again. So you'll be able to find that information if that's something that you are interested in. That would be a place for it to go where it's subject to the least coming out, which is very helpful, of course. There is another group. Well, I should talk actually first about cancellations. So I had to cancel Teak Stock. I had to cancel New Harmony. I'm not going to be able to be there doing appraisals. New Harmony is another wonderful show if you're in the Indiana area. New Harmony is this amazing town that has been there since the early 1800s. It started as a utopia. There's just this wonderful, cute downtown with antique shops, including a new one that is supposed to be really fantastic that I was really looking forward to seeing. But I'll be back, hopefully next year. And in the meantime, they will still be having the antique show. It's on the street, also in the gymnasium, and the antique shops will be open. I will do a video on that as well. I really hate this, but I probably will not, unless they say after a few months of my treatment, so you know what, your immune system's doing great and wear a mask and you can go. But I'm unlikely to have the energy and for it to be safe to me at that point to do the Portland Rose City show as well. I really hate to miss that show. It's beautiful. It's so much fun. People bring amazing things. The good news is they are hoping to do a fall show again if they can get the dates. It's possible by then maybe I'll be able to participate in that, and Custer's in Spokane and the Mount Dora in Florida in November. So I'm hoping. I'm going to try really hard. It all just depends on how things go. I can't really predict how I'm going to feel doing all of this stuff. And so those are the things that I know I can't do, but if you're in the area and want to participate in those and go see them, they're all really wonderful events. I am seeing more interesting stuff. How about you folks out there? Are you seeing more interesting things coming to the market? I was just with Miss Wildlife today and we went to a brand new antique mall. It's the first time I've seen a new antique mall open in a rather long time. And having opened three myself, it was really fun to see that energy and people moving new stuff in, and the way people were setting up the booths and the vignettes. There was a level of sophistication that was really fun, and they had some really crazy cool stuff. And I just thought, wow, the market is really, from what I'm seeing some really interesting stuff. Beth Kemper says she's seeing more customers. Yes, it was very fun, Miss Wildlife. We're getting a brand new antique mall here, and I have a booth in it. Oh, Tiger, that's right. Yes, down in Arizona. That's very exciting. It's so nice to see. I feel like, I don't want to just give YouTube credit, but I feel like there is a new generation of people who are really excited about all this stuff. And I feel like there's a bunch of people who were doing this in the past who are getting really excited about it again. And we're seeing enough of a generational change that some old collections are coming out. We're finding things that we haven't seen in a long time. And we're also seeing a new generation of collectibles from the 80s, from the 90s, and believe it or not, it's been 30 years, that are starting to be part of the market as well. And yet you have 30-year-olds watching Bridgerton and wanting things that look like Regency. So suddenly true antiques are interesting to a generation um, that had kind of left the market. So I feel like it's a really exciting time to be here. Um, and thank you, Don. That's really smart. That's really so sweet of you. It is a good reason to, you know, I got to remember to just let people help when they're able to help, and it's really great. To that end, I should mention also I don't have a date yet. They just asked me if it was all right if they did this, and again, I was so touched and really overwhelmed by it. I guess Kate from Follow That Bug and Jacob Berner and Dagny from Flying Pig Thrifts, they also want to do some sort of a charity auction. I will definitely let you know about that when that happens. I don't know if that'll be on Whatnot or some other platform. I'm so grateful to them. And I really want to thank one other person for that as well. I would not know any of those people if it wasn't for Jocelyn from Crazy Lamp Lady. She encouraged a bunch of different people to start YouTube channels, get in the business, and that's the reason that I got to meet them. I would never have known them otherwise, and now they're really enthused. I would never have met the Burner brothers if it wasn't for her, because she made the first connection with them and then invited all of us to meet them. So I want to thank them, and I want to thank her as well for making that happen. So when that actually comes to pass, we will let you know, and I will definitely let you know when that auction will be up and running as well. Um, so again, so amazing, people just offering to do things like this. I just I'm so touched and really overwhelmed by it all. And so targeted meaning some immunotherapy. Yes, Jan, I do believe that some of it may be immunotherapy. There's been discussion of that as part of it, and I will know more when I go to Fred Hutchinson on the 13th. They are state of the art, and they're right here in Seattle, and they will be telling me more about exactly how they think that this should be targeted. And then they're going to talk to my oncologist at the hospital locally here that I've been seeing. And he said today, and I have to say, I'm really impressed. Okay, it's a double edged sword. I'm really impressed with the oncologist here. He's older, he's experienced, and he keeps saying, this is what we believe, this is what we understand, this is what we think, but I want you to get a second opinion because this is rare, it's a little unusual. We want to make sure we're doing the right thing that's going to be the most effective for you. And if this other hospital who has all this experience and some of the best people in the world specializing in your area says, we think you should do this as well, or we think you should have some of these treatments with us, I want you to follow their example and their lead. So we're going to listen to them. On the other hand, I I have to say, for as great as the doctors are, they're very sweet, they're very loving. The clerical staff have a long way to go. And I know all of us who get caught up in whatever bureaucracy or whatever systems, it's a lot of people, it's a lot of moving parts. Mistakes can be made. I'm very fortunate that this is not an aggressive, fast growing thing, because honestly, it's taken months and there's been some real hiccups along the way with being sent to phone numbers that ring that are disconnected, and hospitals and departments that then say, we don't do that. Why did they send you to us? And being told that the place that I'm having the bone marrow biopsy can't do those because I have to be under sedation. And then being scheduled to have it done in that hospital, I'm like, wait a second, you told me it can't be done. What are we doing here? Is this true? Is this not? Am I going to show up and you're not going to be able to do this? So, what I've learned, and I think all of you who have been in these situations probably know this. Like I said, it's the first time I've been in this situation. You have to advocate for yourself. And if you're not able to, you have to have somebody who asks questions. Don't just take whatever you're told as the answer. Um, Ask questions, say, wait a second, what this person said doesn't match what this person said, because it is your health and your situation and ultimately your responsibility. And that's what I have learned from this, is that you really have to be on top of it. I'm very grateful because Zeno is really smart about these things. And one thing that I never thought of that he did is using AI. Now, AI can absolutely be wrong about stuff, but one thing it does well is if you put your information in, it will spit back a lot of, well, based on this, you should ask your doctor this and this and this and this. And the fact that I'm having a blood viscosity test is because I asked the doctor for it today and he said, oh, that's a really good idea because if we don't do it now, we'll probably have to do it later. And I'm like, let's just get this going. So, you know, AI is a mixed thing, but it can be helpful for certain things. And I'm learning it's helpful for this. Um, so, yes, asking for all of that. This is yes, absolutely. Yeah. Ask and ask again. And don't let them freeze you out. Just be annoying enough that they're going to do something. And that is what I've been doing, and it's all been good. And thank you. I see somebody saying I will pray for the administrative staff and doctors. And yes, everybody. The one thing that I think is so true is we are all humans trying to help each other. We're not perfect. We're gonna make mistakes. It's okay to understand that. And I think that the biggest thing that I've had to change is my mindset based on television, that the doctor figures everything out in an hour and everything turns out beautifully in the end. It's just like crime shows where they figure out the case and everything's done in 45 minutes plus commercials. That's not reality. So it's okay. You just have to persevere. And so, yes, a gnat about the head, be the gnat with your care team. I like that. Yes, absolutely true. Um, Antique Mall, where Seattle area? Lorraine, we went to Fife. Fife used to have an antique mall in the same exact place. It had been closed for 5 years, and a new owner has just taken it over, and today was their first day. And so, if you are able to get to Fife, they're moving stuff in now. It definitely feels very new and very fresh and very exciting. And we were among the first customers, and I bought a really neat apron, not Fenton. I think it's Westmoreland. I don't have it here to show you, but we did pick up a couple of things. I'm trying to pick up things because when I say I might have to go to half level on what we're doing for YouTube, it may be one video a week unless I'm able to get more footage, but we have enough to do one every week for the next 6 months if that's what it comes to. If we can do more, we will do more. For the level 2 members, when I do the monthly eBay listings, I'm probably going to do the top 10 instead of 20 for the next few months because I'm not going to be able to go out and source so readily. And so I'm going to have to take the things that I have, which I have, and spread them out so that we can do a nice fun presentation each month. So it might be 10 items instead of 20. I'm trying to find ways to sustain everything and do all the things that we do that are fun together on a level that I feel like I'll be able to sustain, not knowing now what level of energy I'll have and what level of exposure to the outside world I'll be able to have. So that's the reality there. Um, do best of George videos. Yes. Yeah, I have thought about that actually. There are some ways. Um, recycling old footage could be done potentially if we can cut things together. I don't know how much. We keep all of the videos after they're processed. We don't always keep all the raw footage because there's just so much. So we'll see what we might be able to do. It'd be fun to do some compare and contrast, like places that we've been a couple of times, or we're going to highlight every piece of this company's glass out of a series of videos that we did and pick just those pieces to show or something like that. So we'll see what we can do. It's all going to depend on how I feel and what level of ability that I have to do this. They do say that sometimes you have some brain fog, and when you're a person like me who relies on my memory a lot to talk about things, I have to admit that part probably in some strange way is scarier to me than anything else. They also say that you come out of that. So, and maybe that won't happen. Um, let's see if there's anything else that um, I should say. Um, I guess I would say, I guess I would say that I am really just so thankful for all of you for this community, and the goal that I have is for me to come through this, which they say I will, and to come out on the other end and be able to get back to doing these things that we really love together and be there in person and do some of the fun stuff that um, I love doing that I'm going to have to take a little hiatus for. Um, the it is a little strange because I my unique thing, my unique niche in this business is being the antique nomad. I'm used to traveling. I'm used to being in Florida for a while, being in Kentucky, and then traveling to places in the Midwest, uh, driving through Texas and stopping off at the big Canton flea market, and uh, going to Mexico and getting to show what it's like to shop at a street mercado in Mexico. And so it's a little bit more difficult to keep all those balls in the air. I am actually going to ship merchandise to my two antique stores in Florida. They very kindly agreed to put some things out. I'm hoping, and this will be news for Zeno, but I'm hoping to ship a box to Kentucky with things priced and have him take them and just put them in. I have really made an effort. I didn't get to Florida, but in Kentucky and the Washington stores, I have really packed it in because I can't do shows. So a lot of my show merchandise went to the malls. And so I've really tried to get things in there so that there'll be things to see, because it might be a while before I'm in a position to do that again. Um, so yes, I built a very far-flung business because it's so much fun to see things in different parts of the country, and so being grounded is the thing that's a little bit different for me and a little dicey. But you know what? Like a bunch of you were saying in the chat, right now, this is what I need to be doing. I need to take care of myself. I need to do what is important and acknowledge my body and give it what it needs and let it know that I am going to take care of it and that we're going to make the changes that we need to be better. Um, and when do the treatments start? That's a good question. That's been kind of ongoing. Um, the uh, the the treatments, just so you know, I know some of you have come in late, so without rehashing too much, I am dealing with a lymphoma. It's rather rare. The treatments are to be determined, but they pretty much center around a form of chemo and another drug, and they could last as long as 6 months. So I'd really like to get them started soon, because 6 months is the clock ticking. It could be 6 months before I can get back to things fully the way that I'd like to. But they probably will start towards the end of this month. The 13th is when I get the second opinion from the big cancer clinic. The 15th is when I see my oncologist and he reviews all of that. And at that point, they should be ready to say, okay, they're going to have me in for a training day on what that means, what I have to do. We're going to get the house all cleaned, very, 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 very spick and span, because you have to do that. That's the other thing about running around a lot of antiques. I'm not going to be able to dig through some hoard for a while or someplace that's really messy looking for gems because I've got to be careful. So um, that is what that's what we're going to be doing, and that is also the reason, honestly, besides the fact that these wonderful people are doing these charity auctions for me, that is part of why we're establishing a GoFundMe. Is so, um, being self-employed. Thankfully, I always paid for insurance because I've seen antique dealers and other self-employed people be completely wiped out by a medical situation. So I'm really only on the hook for the out-of-pocket expenses, but I have a pretty big deductible because self-employment insurance is not like when you work for someone and it just takes care of everything, or Medicaid, Medicare, those sorts of things. It's not like that. You still pay a chunk. And I'm not going to be able to do a lot of my work. So for those reasons, I've got to I've got to be open to the notion that it's okay to let other people help me. So, very grateful to the people who are doing these auctions. Very thankful to those of you who I've seen a bunch of you put super chats in and things already to contribute. But the GoFundMe is where we're going to direct all of that to now. And again, like I said before, I also know that some of you are in the same boat. I have no expectations. If you are in need, take care of yourself, and let's give each other healing thoughts and prayers and send good vibes back and forth between each other, because that is a real thing. I really feel it. I have felt so much from all of you folks, and um, I just am so grateful to all of you, and um, I really don't know what more to say than all of that. So um, if there are any other questions, let me know, because I am here for it. And also, when I hit the outro, there'll be about a 4-minute period where you'll be able to ask additional questions, and I'll stay in the chat. Um, Please try to see Duty Rod, a YouTuber and first responder. He just went through this. Okay, very good. Yes, I've definitely been watching a lot of things on YouTube. There's a doctor who talks all about diet and how this can help. That's been very helpful. There is a lot of good information out there. And I have to say, I do have a really solid group of people, with a nutritionist, with a naturopath, with homeopathy, with, all the different stuff. So I feel like we're pretty much honed in on what the treatment plan is that is likely to take care of this. And we have a direction. So I think, certainly after several months now of looking into this and investigating this, I think we pretty much have a pretty good idea what to do. So it's not like I'm starting over trying to figure out, what do I do and what are the options. We've spent a lot of time looking into all that. So functional medicine too, exactly. So, well, thank you, CBD and CBN, for sleep. Yes, I've actually just started that, and it does help. So that's good. Um, Thank you for healing vibes, and I send all of that right back to you. This to me is a reflection of, this is what we all need from each other. And so I appreciate you letting me ask for it, but I also want you to know how much I feel and want to give that in return, because that's more what I'm used to being. um, Please do keep watching the channel, and let's just keep having fun together as much as we can. And then eventually we'll get to go back to doing all the things. So I am going to, I guess, sign off now, unless you have some other stuff. Zeno said he's going to post the GoFundMe link, which is great and appreciated. And that's the reason that, yeah, dear Angela's right. YouTube does take a lot of the super chat. They take like 30%. So that is the reason behind it. Um, but I just want to thank all of you so much for just being part of all this. And now you know the story. Everybody knows at the same time. Nobody has to guess. I'm trying to be as transparent as possible, and I will keep up with you through the process and let you know how things are going. So, and if I'm lucky and things are all right, maybe I'll get to do some more lives and things as well, and we'll get to communicate that way. That's one wonderful thing about the virtual world is that we may not be in the same place, but we can all be in the same place. So, thank you for everything, and I am going to send this to the outro. But please, any more questions or comments I will be in the chat with you for another 4 minutes and 36 seconds. I think it says very random. Okay, thank you, everybody.